Guys have a great day.
Thank
Just made you host.
Oh, thank you. You're such a sweetie pie.
Well, you all have a wonderful evening. And thank you for joining us today, Sarah. I
Oh,
appreciate it.
I love it. I love hanging out with your class and uh being there. I love teaching with someone else too. So um but you don't have to stay if you don't want to. Yeah, it's my pleasure.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I'm probably,
I made it
oh
awkward.
no, that's okay. I'm gonna be heading. I've been up since 4, so I'm gonna be heading out.
Mm,
But
yeah,
tonight.
have a good
But
night.
I do plan on now that I'm starting, yeah, I do plan on being on a little later in the future. So anyway,
Yeah.
I'll see you guys.
Bye. Oh, send me the recording.
Yes, I will once I
Perfect.
log off. Yep.
Yeah, bye.
Bye.
Hello, Sahana. Hi, Vanya.
Hi.
How we
Hi.
doing?
Good.
Awesome. All right. Well, so far it's just the three of us, which I mean, let's do this, right? Um, we are today going to be focusing on week 20. So I will toss the link in the chat for ease of finding it, and I will share my screen too. Here we go. So today we're really focusing on um, introducing the showcase that we're going to be doing after the winter break. And then we also are going to be talking a little bit more about some extra resources. You're going to be showcasing kind of like a mini little showcase of some of the stuff that maybe you've been working on. And we're also going to talk some about hypothesis interpretation using data and the statistics. Because we're, slowly building off of all of the different concepts that we've been learning every single week. So to introduce before we really do our show and tell, I wanted to tell you about our poster or PowerPoint progress showcase. So after week one, I'm sorry, after the holiday, if we go to the schedule, you'll be able to see here we have our break. And then right when we get back, we're doing this peer poster PowerPoint progress showcase. And this is going to entail you presenting a PowerPoint, and it could be one of the examples of the 12 slide deck. So if you're in Arizona, this is a really good one to use. Um, and then also this example, the competition slide deck, this is also really similar. This one takes into account some other aspects from other states as well. So both of these examples are going to be good template examples to use for uh, basing your slide deck off of. All right. So you'll notice that these have, introduction slides, the main header slide, though we will italicize our genus and species, and it has our research question and hypotheses, methods, and then it also has results, slides, and discussion, and then conclusion and bibliography or references slides. So you'll see that there's very much a general structure that exists for these PowerPoints. This example also very much follows a similar composition. And so if you go through, you'll be able to see that. Now, during this, um, right when we come back after that break, you can either present a poster or you can present a PowerPoint. But either way, what we're really wanting to see from every single student, because every single student's going to have a chance to present, you're going to have 7 minutes to present. And it's not just going to be our class, it's also going to be all of the instructors are attending and all of your parents and guardians are attending. We're also going to be inviting your mentors up to this point too. So this is going to be, think of it like a nice little show of all the hard work you've been doing, right? Because one, we don't want you to wait until the last minute to do all of your projects. And two, we want to brag about you because we're so proud of all of you. So this is twofold for us. Now, you'll notice that in those slides, and in the at the bottom, there's of of every week for the last couple of weeks. We also see an example poster. We also have the trifold template for the poster that you can use here too. These, so you can also present your poster as well, right? It's really up to you, whichever one you want to do, but you have to present one. And so that's going to be after break. But what you'll notice for those different sections is that ideally, well, I should say not ideally, every single person is going to be presenting a completed title and introduction, and that includes background, research question, hypotheses, and then also a completed methodology section, because all of your methodologies should be completely flushed out up to this point. So your slide deck and your poster should be updated with a complete section for each of those two as of after the winter break for this presentation. Now, some of you might have some data, right? You might have some figures, you might have some analyses, already have done some preliminary statistics, you might have some basic conclusions, right? But you may not, and that's okay, right? This is why it's a progress, a poster PowerPoint in progress. So we just want you to really think about um, really nailing down those first two sections and getting anything else that you have done. Any general questions about this showcase after the break? Now, next week, we're going to be having a lot more time. So pretty much all next week, it's work time, right? Now that doesn't mean don't come, right? I want you to come so you can work and show me and say, hey, what do you think of this? I want some feedback on this, right? So come with some of this done so we can start getting direct feedback from me, right? Because you're going to get a little today, but I really want all of you to get more and more and more and more. So, for example, today, what we're going to be looking at is something that you could potentially have in your methods or potentially have in your introduction. Or if you have some data, right, it could be a data figure. So during this show and tell, I want you to take, 5, maybe 10 minutes, depending on how the group's going. I want you to really think about gathering a visual element, something that you're going to use in your project. Now, in past classes, um, some people actually started working on their poster, right? And they showed their poster in progress already, right? They showed the different sections that they wanted to have where, and they got feedback directly about that like earlier today. So this is a visual that you can use pretty broadly. Do you want to outline your poster? Do you want to show a table that you're working on? For example, in this PowerPoint introduction, there's actually a data table that goes over information from previous studies to help emphasize the fact that spider silk has these different factors about it. So you can use a data table even in your introduction to help you make certain points, or an infographic, or a picture, right? So really, this is something that you are going to use to help you with your narrative that you're thinking of doing for your study. So for this next 5 to 10 minutes, let's say 7 minutes, I want everyone to gather a visual and work on a visual. Does everyone understand their task? And when you come back, you're going to present it to everybody else. Any questions about what we are doing? All right. I'm going to open up these rooms, and so everyone can uh, go into a room, and I'll help you get there. But then I'll call everybody back, and we'll present. And I'm just going to call on anybody randomly, so we don't waste any time.
Hi. Wait, I can't hear you.
Hi, Shita. How are you?
I'm good. Sorry I joined late. I got kind of carried away.
Oh, no, I get it. You're probably working on a bunch of stuff. Um, so I know you've been typically going to the later class with Miss Nath, but she's been keeping me updated with what you've been doing.
Yeah.
So right now, what people are doing are they are in workout groups. They're working independently, I should say, and they're really trying to gather a visual. So something that, and I just put the directions in the chat, but really looking for something that they're going to use either in the introduction or the methods, but it could be anywhere too for
Yeah.
their poster or their PowerPoint, and they're just trying to come up with something. We're about to come back to this room, so if you have something that's readily available, great. If not, then maybe just listen and see if we can get some feedback from other people. But you might have something because I know you've been really putting in a lot of work for your project.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Hey, Suhana, I was just going to close the breakout rooms. Did you have a question before everyone else got back?
Oh no, I didn't. I just didn't have anyone in my breakout room, so I wasn't sure if I was supposed to come back.
Oh, no, everyone was just working independently.
Oh, okay.
And then we're going to come over here and just chat.
Okay, my bad. Thank you though.
No, you're good. No bads at all. All right. I think we're just waiting for one more person to come on back. So while they're coming back, we are just going to share what our visual is. So Sanjay, can you share your visual with us? So you can use the share button or put it in the chat to have us look at it.
Okay, yeah. Can I just share the image link?
For sure.
It's not letting me do that, so I'm just gonna share my screen real quick.
Okay. Great choice.
Okay, so this is a correlation chart. So I've been studying this with my data analysis to see what already has been known about these correlations and which patterns I can use in the AI models to help identify what kind of eczema it might be and what treatments are possible. So I've been using this to help identify patterns and different correlations between the models.
Great. So correlation coefficient, um, heat map. That's pretty cool. So we're actually going to be looking a little bit more into, can you put it back up, Sanjay?
Oh yeah. Oh, or no.
Yeah. And if you if you can click on um, the one that you're specifically interested in. So is this one specifically that you're thinking of putting into your introduction? Or
Sort of, yeah, I think so. I think this one I was looking at as well, but I think this one is also pretty good.
okay. So great, right? If this is something that you're thinking of including, right, you're gonna want, and this is good advice for everybody to see, right? It's totally okay to take a figure from someone else's publication, and put it into your poster or your presentation. The key thing is that you're gonna want to make sure that you include their figure legend, um, and include the appropriate figure numbering for your poster and also with the appropriate citation for the paper because we want to make sure we have the right sourcing for where you're getting the material from. So um, there, we have a under the resources on this page on page 20, You'll have there's some links to help you figure out how to do citations for figures as well. So there will be a guide to help you. You can also just search it on the ISEF website and it will come up like, how do I cite a figure from someone else? Those things are all there. How do I cite a picture, right? So there's all this information out there that we want to make sure we're following all those standards. But this is a great thing to do. Now, if we look at this figure, this is going to be super helpful for later. You see all these little numbers inside. All the little numbers refer to the correlation. And the colors here also refer to if it's either a positive or a negative. And my old eyes are it's a little hard to see, but I'm pretty sure the blue have a negative sign in front of them. And so those are showing negative correlation, whereas the red are showing positive correlation. And so the color in this heat map show you the strength of the correlation. So which so this is like a good question to everybody. Where where might be a really strong positive correlation based on the strength of the red? And if you
Like maybe
could,
like the
oh, sorry,
diagonal line across.
yeah, right. So the diagonal is kind of like our positive control, right? So it's going to be one on that diagonal. So it's going to be that should be one, a positive one. And so that's going to be like the deepest red that we can have. So any of those blocks that have as deep of a red as that diagonal, for sure, are going to be um, having a strong positive correlation. So if you see numbers that are, I think we see like a 0.98 or a 0.96. It's like right next to the diagonal. I don't know. Can you all see that? Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Sana. Um, that lets you know like how to read this and how to look at this. And so this is why people make these types of figures to help them figure out what they're looking at, especially if they have so many variables that they're looking at, or so many different models that they're running, right? Things that they're comparing to see if there's a correlation that exists. If we look at the blues, right, the deeper the blue, the stronger the negative correlation. So using that little scale at the top right, that's kind of how we would look at this. So this is actually really helpful for a later activity we're going to do, but it's also helpful to learn what a heat map is as well. So I really appreciate you, Sanjay, for bringing this up. And I think it's a great idea to cite a figure from someone else um, in your introduction. You just want to make sure to have a couple bullets about it, right? So people know what they should take away. Like, what's the takeaway from this? Cool. Thank you so much. Um, Vanya, did you want to share your visual so far?
Yeah. So since we only had 5 minutes and I haven't really gone to the visual part yet and my app is still being developed, I just created a simple flowchart about how my app will work.
That's
Um,
great.
it's not really complex. It's not really complex. It was very basic. But yeah, let me share my screen. Can you guys see it?
Yeah, this looks great.
Yeah, so this is how my app will work. So the user will download the app, and if they say yes, then they'll perform some baseline tests for breathing, swallowing, and speech samples. After that, the user will complete exercises 2 or 3 times a week for about 4 weeks. I'm not really sure about the timeline yet, but it should be about 4 weeks. And my app will collect weekly data, and in the end, it'll compare the baseline to the final metrics.
Great. Yeah, so I think this is going to be a really helpful visual timeline for people. Um, I don't know if you need to say like start or end. Um, personally, but uh or like download the app. But I wonder if you could have like the homepage of your app, once you have it
Yeah.
figured out and like
Yeah.
put that there and then you can have some of these things like maybe coming from there like first, like
Yeah.
first
Yeah.
they do like consent forms.
Yeah.
Second, like what you have here and show this. And so because then it would might take up less space because right now
Mhm.
this really long line might be hard to get into your poster.
Yeah.
But if it's something that's more rectangular, that might be a little easier to get into the spacing. But I really do like this organization. Like I think that having that order is going to be really good to
Okay.
include. Super
Um,
cool.
thank you.
Great. Suhana?
Yeah. I'm just gonna share my screen. I have two things I could show right now. So yeah.
Sweet.
So I'm doing like a project about like a predictive model to like detect thermal runaway. So like this is like a quick diagram to see what I'm looking for, like temperature, voltage, and current, swelling, and like gas release. And then that's like what I'm actually looking for when I'm actually like testing and like training the model. And then there's like the afterwards of like cooling down the battery or shutting it down and alerting the user. So that's like a quick like easy way to see it. And currently, I was like trying to like visualize my data, but I can't really figure out Google Sheets. So, what I've gathered so far was like the correlations in between like the time and like other and like the four factors that I was talking about, like temperature, current, voltage, swelling, and gas. And like what I was able to see, there's like a directly proportional relationship between like increasing time, temperature, current, swelling and gas, like the gas release. And then there's like inverse with voltage, which makes sense because of current and
Mhm.
voltage. But yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Can you go back?
oh,
Sorry,
sorry.
can you share again?
Yeah, sorry about that.
No, you're good.
I don't like so like these were like the things I was able to gather from like different like
Mhm.
articles, and also I got like the temperature from like kind of doing like there was like a simulator online where I was able to actually like simulate thermal runaway and actually understand the temperature and current at it. Cause like right now I'm only working based off what the simulator tells me because I haven't been able to like make my own version of thermal runaway like as easily and like as
Mhm.
reliable. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. So, um, and then are you trying to simulate the thermal runaway? Like in what type of battery or in what type of,
I'm focusing on lithium ion batteries.
okay. Hey, sweetheart. Thermal. I'm
Yeah.
trying to think of just one thing. So, um, yeah, I think the visual that you have here is really, can you go to the visual for a second?
Yeah.
So safety mechanisms, cooling, shutdown, alert, that makes sense. The predictive model, you're looking at temperature, voltage, um, swelling and gas. Um, I have some ideas, but uh, if for everyone here, when you're looking at this image, what are some things that what's some feedback that people have for this one? I mean, it's really good, right? And like what all of the things we all say are just like to make it better, right? So don't be afraid to say anything. What are some things that people have as an idea to improve it even further? All right. Well, So one thing that I'm kind of noticing from it is here, hold on one second, is something about this gas image, right? And then
Mhm.
something about the safety mechanisms in relation to the battery. How can we make them more connected?
Should I show us like a flow chart?
Those aren't your toys.
Would like showing us a flow chart make it more connected?
You could. It's so if we think about the safety mechanisms, it's kind of like it's inferred that it's for a battery,
Hmm.
but it's not really showing that it's for the battery, right? Like, is there a way to like somehow get this battery closer to show like have cooling and the shutdown and alert around it? You know what I mean?
Like
Like
kind of like a before and after type of thing, where it shows like
may,
a shutdown battery.
maybe or I'm trying to think like imagine you have your battery and your flames, right? So here's oh, okay, hold on. So here's your battery, right? I probably shouldn't use a red pen, but um and then like what if we have cooling? So here's your fan, like cooling here, and then we have our shutdown button here, and then we have like the alert button here, right? So then it's all around the battery.
Okay.
You know
Yeah,
what I
I
mean?
can.
Because then it's more tied to the 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 battery, right? People know that it's all in relation to the battery. So I think there's like
Mhm.
something that you can do with that image to make it even more inherently tied together. Um,
Okay.
and then there might be even a way to do something similar with the predictive modeling. Yeah. And then if you want to bring your data set from the simulator um, to office hours, we can go over Google Sheets on how to visualize it a little more.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry, I was like trying to figure out like how to do the scatter plot because like I know like line graphs and bar graphs, but like the scatter plot's like asking for other things I did not know about yet. So like,
Yeah, well, and you may not, you may you may want to be doing a different type of visual that is including some type of regression. Um,
mhm.
so it may be something different.
Okay.
And then, and I think there's been some other things in the chat too. So like adding a summary at the bottom, or maybe some like other details. So like Shrey had like adding some other details into the infographic that to help just clarify it. Um, and then so we had someone else also say next to the predictive modeling part, really saying the predictive modeling because a lot of times what people will do is they'll actually include uh, like the code almost for the predictive model, you know? So
Mhm.
that may be something you want to include as well. And again, it's like you make it and then sometimes you revert back to the previous version. So it doesn't work,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
Okay, let's see Shrey's visual and then we're gonna go to Sorish.
Okay, I'll send mine in chat.
Perfect.
Okay, so basically what we're doing here is analyzing the oral microbiome in a type 2 diabetes patient's mouth. So what I did was got an NCBI database and I used an online program called One Codex, which has its own oral microbiome database to then do taxa profiling. And what that essentially means is it finds like all these different microbes inside of the person's mouth and we can see the normalized reads here, which basically show, like, on the left hand side it shows the relative amount of reads, and on the right are the raw reads. And what we can take away from this is that Prevotella is definitely one of the most common, like, microbes. And same thing goes with Rothia and Vianella, and these can serve as like great biomarkers for type 2 diabetes in like the oral microbiome.
Really cool. Um, and so is this something that you're going to be including in your proper data set, like as your results, or is this something that you're using as justification for your study?
So this was an original figure, so it could be used like in the conclusions, I guess, but I need to like do further analysis on it because this is just like processing the data and then like getting it in this visual form. So I think further analysis could be done on this, and we could include this like as well.
Okay. So this is kind of like a because I know you were doing something slightly different for your study, or is
Yeah.
this the new thing that you're doing for it?
This is like the new thing.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so absolutely. And now, what you know, this is great, right? So what you'd want to make sure, um, when we look at the bottom there for the samples, those names
Yeah.
are really squished, right? So
Yeah,
even though
yeah, for
this is
sure.
the output from that program, what you're probably want to gonna go do is take this and put it into something like Canva or Photoshop, or something like that, and go in and make the individual sample names
Yeah.
smaller and more readable, right? So
Yeah, for sure.
that's one thing that you're going to want to do. So you can't just take this as it is, just so you understand. Um,
Yeah.
and then you're going to want to also in the caption acknowledge where the original data set's coming from and the program you used, and a little bit about how you got there, right? So
Yeah.
we'll go more into how you do captions at a later date, but this is a great, beautiful, like really pretty um, data set. And in the one thing that you can do, um,
Yeah.
especially for something like a poster, because you want to draw their attention to the ones that are more meaningful, right? Because there's a lot going on here, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, what I'm hearing is that you want people to draw their attention to certain taxa. And so
Yeah.
maybe putting stars next to them, or um, or if you can alter the colors ever so slightly so they pop out even more. So like
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, maybe they're the red colors or something. You can go in Photoshop or Canva, change the color just of the ones you're looking for to be
Mm-hmm.
like black, right? Because on your figure, black will really pop out.
Yeah.
you know so something that will be really, really super obvious to the reader, kind of like when we were looking at that guns. um, uh, we were looking at some figures before, right? They used very distinct colors, um, for it was like Microsoft versus um, Chrome, right? They like highlighted color in a really specific way to help with their narrative. So I think you can
Yeah.
do that the same thing here to help with your narrative because you have a distinct story that is coming out from the data.
Yeah, for sure. I think like tidying it up and like making it more like clean and like having more of a purpose is like a good idea. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, and so this
Thank
is
you.
definitely showing some of the different possibilities to other students as well. So it's really cool. All
Yeah,
right.
thank you.
Great. And then let's get Sorish up.
Yeah. Okay. So for my project, I'm sorting lots of data for my machine learning algorithm. So, what I'm doing is I'm exporting data from a library called Y-Finance, and then I'm sorting it into this Excel spreadsheet. So here I just have maybe 15 to 20 columns of just different data I could use using the data I got from Y-Finance. and I'm using formulas from online that have been mathematically proven to be helpful in predicting stock prices. So I just made 10 to 15 columns of this to compare the different data that I have, and I also assigned different numerical values to it to see how how much a stock could increase or decrease, which is the first column on the left. And in the right, I have a basic machine learning model right now, which predicts the price and direction so far in the second and third last column. And so what I'm doing with this data is that I'm able to predict the future price using the data in the machine learning algorithm. And then I'd also be able to explain it easily to high school students, which is my target audience. I'd simplify it enough so that they know what data to use and how it could be applied. And um, oh yeah, and so what I wanted to do with this data is that even though it looks really complex right now, I want to simplify it in a way so that even high school students could understand how you could use this data to just predict stock price and make better financial decisions.
Yeah. So, do you have any ideas on how you might do that yet, or?
Um, well, right now I'm probably going to take the biggest return values that I get in accuracy, and I'll apply to the machine learning model. So the machine learning model will give an overall representation of what values are the most accurate for that stock at that current time or given price, and I'd also give basic explanations on each value and how you could interpret it.
Okay. Um, there's some of these other visualization techniques that I want you to think about. I don't know if they're the right thing for what you're doing, but these are some things that have classically been used. Uh, I think the what you're talking about is this in this last one of like the model performance here. So I'm putting some things in the chat. Um, but I wonder if just in general, helping students see in like a workflow, uh, a visualized workflow might be helpful. So doing something um, where yeah, and it's kind of a little hand wavy, but you're at least showing them like, look, I've done this thing with machine learning to help you understand, return on investment based on predictive nature and uh, to try to help you come up with the best decision. Um, and then, you invest and then you see later if after the market goes through you see if it worked or not, right? So because part of what you're doing for your project too is helping people understand how this investment process works too. So I wonder if that can also be part of your workflow, um, a visual to help people just understand that. And there might be something already in DECA that exists that maybe you can use in your introduction as well. So I would check out their website to see if they already have materials that you can use in your introduction too.
Okay.
Yeah. Um, because I know that there's a lot of different ways to visualize, these types of things. Just choosing the right one. Cool. All right, and then I know we had some people who came a little bit late. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have you stay for Miss Nath's class to do this activity, right, with her. And I want you to present with their group. So we're going to move on to the next activity. And next class, what we're going to be doing So just to, again, to emphasize is we are going to be having really explicit work day where students are going to be able to work on their PowerPoints and their posters for the poster progress after winter break. Because we're really expecting every single person is going to present, and you're going to be presenting in front of parents, mentors, all the instructors, all the other students, and we're expecting the research questions, hypotheses, introductions, titles, background information, all of that to be completed, and then also everything that's to do with the methods to be completed, if not more, if you have other things done too. And you're either going to be presenting your poster or the PowerPoint slide. So next class, everyone is coming and everyone's coming on time. And we're going to have a lot of time to work on all of that. And you are going to be having specific opportunities to ask questions, right, of me to be able to get immediate feedback on it. So do not miss class next week, right? Now, what we're going to move into is I just wanted to show you that there are other resources. So I know some of you are very good at coding, right? And for those of you that are, and that might be how you do your statistical analyses, or if you are needing a different program to help you with some simulated data or or creating a new simulator. So maybe Sohana, this is another way to do that for yours. You can check out some of these resources. So if you need Data Classroom to do something with a simulator, let us know. If you are hoping to use R for your project to do all of your statistics, it is a completely learnable skill. This is essentially a guide to help you start, right? That comes from Data Classroom. So this will help you learn how to use R, download it, etc. And then this other resource is the same, but for Python. So these are two really nice resources to help guide you through that process. And I know not everyone's at the analysis stage yet, so no need to fret, right? And like we said before, Google Sheets can be a completely appropriate tool too, depending on the analysis that you're doing. All right. So now we're going to think a little bit more about interpretation. Now this really ties into what Sanjay shared, right, about correlation coefficients. This is the background knowledge we need. If it's a 0, there's no correlation. If it's a positive value, there's going to be positive correlation. If it's close to 1, it's going to be really strong. If it's closer to 0.5, it's going to be moderate, right? If it's closer to the 0, it's going to be weak, right? Same if it's negative, right? If it's closer to 1, strong. 0.5, moderate. It's closer to 0, weak. So this is kind of our background information for this general set of for the activity. Now, the information from this activity came from this paper. And in this paper, they looked at so many zip codes across the United States. And they used machine learning to help understand the different types of urban aspects, the types of transportation that were occurring, and different characteristics based on socioeconomic status across all of these zip codes, and how that can be used to help with a decision tree model to help and see how those affect CO2 emissions. And you can learn more about the study, if you want to learn more, which is great. But I just wanted to show you there's a lot of data, right? There's so much data in this study. And they also had a lot of different variables that they included. And because of that, they also had a lot of hypotheses. So if we look, they have so many different variables. And we see something similar to what Sanjay shared, right? This is a correlation heat map. And we also see all of their hypotheses. So, some of you will only have one hypothesis. They had three big hypotheses. So this is a little bit different than some of your studies. But I took their hypotheses and I turned it into three big research questions. And these are their research questions. Does vehicle miles traveled, or VMT, positively correlate with CO2 emissions? The second question, does electricity consumption correlate with CO2 emissions? And they expected it to positively correlate. And does higher percentage of occupied housing units correlate with increased CO2 emissions? So these are their three main questions. And in it, you can also see their expectation. So I want us to visualize their expectation. So how would, so imagine that we here are drawing that first hypothesis, or the hypothesis for the first question. So we have VMT, and on the x-axis for all of these, we have CO2 emission. What do we expect the line to look like? Is it going to go up diagonally or down diagonally or just straight across? Based on the expectation for question one. And I put it in the chat so you can see it too. Natika. How would we draw the hypothesis for question one? All right, Natika, you're going to answer for question two. Ashita, how would we draw the line for the expectation for question one?
Um,
Would
like
it,
it would positive, like
yeah, so it's going to be positive. Yep.
should
Would,
positively correlate.
yeah, so would it look like this? Would it look like this? Or would it look like this?
I think the first one you drew, please.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So it would look like this, exactly. So
Yeah.
as VMT increased, CO2 emissions would also increase. Perfect, right? All right, now let's look at the next one. So for this one, for the second question, we're looking at electricity consumption on that y-axis. So what would the line look like for the hypothesis there? So I know Jatika's mic isn't working, so she's just going to write it in the chat. So they expected a positive correlation for question two. So would it look similar or would it be different than the first question? So it would actually be the same, right? So because it's a positive correlation, or what they're expecting would be a positive correlation, what they're expecting would look like this. Yeah. As electricity consumption increased, the CO2 emissions would increase as well. Right. Now, if we look at the last one, the last question was higher percentage of occupied housing correlates with increased CO2 emissions. That's just another way of saying they're expecting a positive correlation. So again, that's going to be a positive correlation. So it's going to be that diagonal going up again. So as higher housing units are occupied, they're expecting to see higher CO2 emissions. So this way of visualizing a hypothesis, maybe in a cleaner, more beautiful way, is a really handy way to actually do something similar for your poster, right? So, you can have the long answer or the long hypotheses that you would have written out, but then you can also visualize it with something more pristine, easy to understand for someone walking by. Hypothesis one, VMT by CO2 emissions. I'm expecting it to each increase with each other. Positive correlation, right? So this is a really handy thing to do to visualize hypotheses. Now we have our real data. Now, because of time, we're just going to go through this together. But if we think about the actual data that was found from the study for question one and for hypothesis one, they found a correlation of positive 0.78. And that's a strong correlation because it's so close to one. Now, does that support what they expected, or does it reject, or do they reject that hypothesis? Vishavi, what's the
It supports.
interpretation? Right,
It supports it.
exactly. Yeah, good job. So it supports it, absolutely. Um, let's look at uh, question two, and then hypothesis two. They got a positive 0.42, moderate, I'm sorry, a negative 0.42, a moderate negative correlation. Does that support or reject the hypothesis? Vanya, what do you think?
Um, so does negative 0.42 mean that that's what they found or that's what they thought before they
Good
did?
question. Yeah, good question, right? So this here is what they found. These are the actual data. And then what they expected earlier was that they thought it was going to be positive in their hypothesis.
Oh, so it's rejected.
My gosh, y'all are so good. Right, exactly. So we would reject this one here. And then if we look at question three, hypothesis three, they found a moderate positive correlation. So it's, kind of closer to 0.5 positive. So does that support or reject their hypothesis?
Support.
Support. Yeah, absolutely. Right? So this is how we can um, go through and help organize our information, one for ourselves, right? All right, here's our question. You can even have another column here for hypothesis, right? You could put the real strong piece of data that's helping you get to your interpretation. You could put your interpretation, literally say support or reject hypothesis. Then you could also write your conclusion. right? What does it mean? What does supporting or rejecting the hypothesis mean in this context of this study? Now, that is a really great way to organize your information for a conclusion section. So when you are going through and creating, let's say, your poster or your conclusion section for the showcase, go ahead, make a table just like that, right? Create the scaffold for it because all of you already have your hypotheses. All of you should have an expectation of what you are hoping to see. And then you can go through and later, once you have all of those data and analyze them, you can then add in the interpretation and the conclusion. And that's going to be a really great way to organize all of that. And it's going to be super clear for a judge or someone walking by your poster to really understand it. Nice, sweetheart. Um, so, so, so if you haven't already, I would love, 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 love it if everyone here, if you haven't already, to do the assignment for the social media reflection. That would be awesome. And if you, next class, everyone is going to be in class on time, and we're going to go through and you're going to create either a poster or a PowerPoint for that showcase. And yes, you can use the trifold example as your poster. And we have some examples of those too. So, we can get you can get that and see that right down here. So we have the trifold poster template there, a blank one that you can use. And then we also have the slide templates here as well for you.
That is the famous Sia Podar's poster, the top three of at ISF last year.
Oh yeah, this one right here.
Yeah, yeah.
I blanked out the name so they wouldn't know, Miss
Yeah, I
Math.
know.
Thank
Oh,
you.
whatever.
But the thing that we really want everyone to, I just want this to be like super, super clear, right? Next week, it's a working week, right? Every single one of you needs to come because that is our chance for you to, work on things, get direct feedback from us. Okay. Now, my students who came late, Latika, Ishita, uh, Vishavi, who else? I think that was it. You're all staying here and working with Miss Naff. Okay. Have a good day. Bye.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you, everybody. I really appreciate all of the work that everybody did today. It was really, really good.